RAM companies are being sued for overcharging now. How about that? Oh my God. RAM manufacturers have been sued for allegedly fixing prices and supply, leading to increased costs. Says here, the three largest RAM manufacturers in the world are being sued for allegedly fixing the supply and prices of memory. You remember the other day when I was talking about, look, with all these huge companies knowing each other, like I'm sure they could come to some type of deal, some type of understanding to where they don't charge them like Microsoft and Sony that much, along with other manufacturers, that much for these damn RAM chips, this DRAM, right? Well, isn't that funny? Because apparently the three biggest are rubbing shoulders, figuring stuff out for themselves to make even more money. The sharply rising cost of memory is widely attributed to demand for AI, with major vendors signing long-term deals with AI firms. Now, as reported by Law 360, a class action lawsuit filed by a proposed class of individuals and business consumers accuses Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron of playing a large part in what is being dubbed Ramageddon by the media. The complaint alleges that the three companies, which make almost all of the world's supply of DRAM, have been working together to fix component prices while reducing supply. How up is that? Oh, we don't have enough. It accuses the trio of reducing its supply of DDR3 and DDR4 RAM, leading to a sharp increase in price for consumers who use it, and focusing most of its production on HBM, a high-cost, high-bandwidth form of 3D stacked DRAM mainly used by AI data centers instead of consumers. The DRAM oligopolists, I've never seen that before. Oligopolists, I've heard of an oligarchy. That's the first time seeing that one. Have simultaneously cut production, coordinated a pivot to HBM and exit from DDR3 and DDR4, and otherwise decreased and locked up conventional DRAM supply while prices charged up with mind-blowing scale and rapidity, it claims. Damn. It argues that DRAM shortages led to prices rising. Still, Samsung, SK Hynix, and Micron continue to squeeze conventional DRAM supply simultaneously and publicly, directing their resources toward less profitable per diem HBM, or in some cases, simply junking conventional DRAM supply channels altogether. Damn! It also says the plan is working as consumer purchasers of conventional DRAM and devices, including incorporating it, have paid supra competitive, not super, supra competitive prices, and have otherwise suffered the impacts of a distorted market crippled by the behavior of DRAM oligopolists. Oligopolists. It says that in a competitive market, prices climb at the rate pull supply toward them, because at least one of the three should have seen the rising prices and decided to focus its output on that product, making its competitors either do the same or lose customers. That did not happen. The suit argues that the three companies have control over DRAM supply and can't be realistically challenged by anyone else because the cost of building one DRAM fabrication plant can be tens of billions of dollars and can take years to complete. That is so crazy. Wow. Excuse me. And I've heard that before, that it's more complicated than we think of just opening another DRAM facility or another facility to make more RAM. It also claims that even if a new company did try to challenge the trio, the process used to reliably manufacture chips comprise decades of accumulated trade secrets and U.S. export controls. Quote, bar the only other procedures in China from acquiring current generation equipment. The practical consequence is that when the three firms restrict supply, no outsider can expand output to undercut them. The lawsuit also notes that the companies were found guilty of price-fixing DRAM in the past. Back in 2005, it is the year 2005. Where I get that from? You better know. At least one of you better know, but more of you than one should know. Samsung agreed to plead guilty and pay a $300 million fine for participating in what the U.S. Department of Justice referred to as, at that time, as international conspiracy to fix prices in the DRAM market. Hynix also pleaded guilty at the time and was fined $185 million, while Micron reportedly avoided a fine by reporting the incident and working with prosecutors. So what they do? Tell on themselves? Or they told on the other two? The suit notes that the three companies were also investigated by the Chinese government when prices spiked again between 2016 and 2018. The conduct alleged here is the third such cycle in the same market among the same firms, it claims. As the price of memory and storage continue to rise, practically every company using the components has been increasing their price of their products accordingly. Last week, Microsoft, right? Yeah, exactly. And before Valve confirmed the Steam machine with, you know what? I hope something happens. I hope something happens. If they truly are guilty, get this handled and drop the prices. Post the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Are they guilty or innocent? Let me know. That is also from the same movie as It Is the Year 2005. So let me know. You better know. 10 million subscribers. Woo!